Hello, I'm Kelly. Welcome to Animal Instinct, my Flosstube channel for video number 5. Today is Sunday the 29th of December 2019, so we're almost there. I hope you've all had an enjoyable festive season. For those of you who find this time of year a bit of a struggle, I completely hear you and we're almost there. I need some time. I feel a bit peopled out at the moment. I need some time to recharge my poorly depleted introvert batteries. This is my current mood. I just want to drink wine and pet my cat. Speaking of, there is the Queen of the house on her new throne. And I don't have wine, but I do have gin. So cheers. For those of you in Australia, this is ink gin. It's really, really yummy. It's very warm outside today and my air conditioner's on, so I hope that it doesn't make too much of a noise, but there's no way I'm turning it off. Today I have an FFO to show you. I have some haul and then I have a WIP parade. So I've shown some of these WIPs over the last few months that I've been doing the videos, but there's plenty I think that I haven't shown before. I think it's a good opportunity for me to go through them and sort of have a think about what I want to work on in the coming year. So let's jump in. First of all, I have an FFO. So I finished my koala biscornu, designed by Ryan at Wild Violet Cross Stitch, that we received as a freebie at the Mittagong Stitches retreat. It's got the 4 koalas, and then it's got the gum leaves and the gum blossom, and then I've added some words which Kerry kindly charted for us. Kerry, the creative curator, thank you Kerry. Mittagong Stitches retreat. Still haven't got the whole focus thing sorted, so I'll figure that out one day. And then November 2019, this is stitched on 18 count Ada by Jodie Redesigns. I think it was called Warlock. And then it's mainly DMC. If I didn't have the called for DMC, I subbed in something similar. I found that the branches, when I tried to do 2 strands of floss, it was too bulky, but so they're stitched 1/1, and everything else is 2 strands. I have no idea why that was such an issue for me. The green for the gum leaves, which I think is worked out perfectly, is a variegated Jodie Redesigns hand-dyed floss. I joined the middle with gumnut looking beads. So again, totally stole that from Kerry. Thanks, Kerry. And I filled it with lizard litter or ground walnut shells. I love it. I'm really, really happy with it. I had a lot of fun piecing it together. I used a few different tutorials. So firstly, Kerry and Gail Phillips both showed us what to do when we were in Mittagong. Thank you, ladies. And then I reminded myself using a video and a written tutorial on thetitymodernist.com. So highly recommend that if you're not sure. It's very simple, so you don't need to be an expert sewer to put together. It's very clever. And it definitely sort of reaffirmed my thought that I would really enjoy the process and want to do more in the future. I've already started my next one and I'll show you that shortly. Yes, so that is my FFO. I don't usually have many FFOs, so we'll end the year on a high. I'm a little bit croaky today. Back on asthma medication thanks to the bushfires that are raging everywhere across Australia at the moment. We had, I think it's just 20 kilometres from my home, so about 12 miles. Over 80 homes have been lost, tragically. And there are more fires all over Australia at the moment. and with more property losses and some loss of life. So the reason I'm mentioning that is I'm back on my puffers, which give me a croaky voice. So if I'm croaky, that's why. Okay. Next up is some haul. So since my last video, sorry, I've now got ice in my mouth. That was clever. I'm not sure if you can hear that crunching, but anyway. I received my Silks For You Colour of the Month. I think that's what it's called. So you get 4 skeins from their collection. It's they're 15 meters long each. It's 6-stranded silk. It's just beautiful. So I'll pop that with the rest. I have to think up what I'm going to do with it. It's always nice to receive that. And then I'll try and put a picture up, but I saw the Modern Folk Embroidery 2020 sale advertised on Instagram, and I just felt like I needed to join in, so I have signed up for that. And I'm going to stitch it on, I won't get it out of the packaging, but it's 40 count Newcastle linen. I think it's antique white. I got this from JK's Cross Stitching Supplies. If you're in Australia, she's on Facebook. You need to join the group. And then everything she sells is in albums, and then you send her a message with what you want to buy. It's really good prices, excellent service. So highly recommend Janet. So nice plain fabric. And Silks For You are having a sale. How about that? And I got a hank of PR. I've got Flosstube itchy nose, always. PR023, and it really is as bright as it's showing up. So, yeah, crazy bright. It's going to look really good on this linen. Now it comes, when you first get one, you might feel a bit intimidated. It comes on a big round, sort of wound like that. What you do is you find the edges, like the ends, which will be in a little knot here. Then you have to be brave. You just have to do it. And you snip there. And then that will give you like long lengths. I'll show you when I get to my other WIP that I have in progress using Silks For You hank. I'll show you how I've organized it, but don't be intimidated. It's beautiful and it's easy to deal with. So that's that one. And then my last little bit of haul is I saw the Tiny Modernist advertising for their Biscornu of the Month Club for 2020. It's a 12-part mystery series. So I've signed up. It says, welcome to our 2020 Biscornu of the Month Club, the animal series, hence why I just had to join. This year-long series features cute and fun animal biscornus all year long. There will be elephants, koalas, skunks, foxes, lions, and more. So you pay the one-off fee, and then you get the monthly biscornu emailed to you on the 3rd of each month. So the first one will be coming in on January the 3rd. There's a list of 18 DMC and Anchor threads. You can choose what you want to use. I had skeins of pretty much everything, so I'm set to go. I'm going to be doing it on 32 count, again, nice and plain, 32 count Belfast linen by Swagart. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if the teaser is the first month, but there's the elephants. I've just done a lot of work with elephants at work, so it's very cool. There were 4 elephants, there they are. I can't wait to start that. So that's my haul. I'm just trying to put things so they don't get completely out of control. Just bear with me. Okay. Yeah, so now we're going to do WIP Parade. I'm going to start with the WIPs I've been working on over the last fortnight. I used to focus on one project, like when I got my B, that's all I worked on for months and months. Then I found all the Facebook groups and Instagram and everything, and I've seen all these things that I want to start, and I have started lots. And lately I've been just jumping around between so many different WIPs. I don't really have a problem with that, but it's a little bit crazy. So in 2019, I was accumulating supplies, fabrics, threads, patterns, and 2020, my plan is to stop accumulating patterns, and I basically have this amazing shop of great patterns to stitch, so I don't really need to do anything outside of what I already have. We'll see how long that lasts. But in the last fortnight, I have worked on, in my cat bag. Now what I've done to try and make this more efficient is I've taken things out of plastic bags and off Q snaps, things like that. So hopefully we can whip through them. And the Cat Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. I'm stitching this on 40 count Newcastle linen on Legacy by Picture This Plus. I'm using the Cold 4 floss, and I'm using 1 strand of thread over 2. And this is what I've done. I have worked on it a little bit this week. It's quite an enjoyable stitch. So happy to keep working on that. Next up was a new start in the last fortnight. As soon as I finished my koala biscorning, I pulled this one out. Crossed Wing Collection Chipping Sparrow Biscorn Nest. So I've made a really good start on it. In fact, I've almost finished the top. So the nest and sort of this part of it, I guess part of the tree, is all done 2 strands of DMC over 2, but the eggs are done 1 strand over 1. So they're little teeny tiny little crosses, and they give it texture, and it's just beautiful. I love it. So almost finished the front, and the back is just basically this outside bit in a full coverage square. Probably should have done that before I did the fun bit, but I couldn't help myself. I'm stitching it on 28 count casual linen in white, might be antique white, I don't know, no white. It doesn't matter because it's full coverage. Now I've done this all in hand just for something different, and I don't like my tension. I don't really like my crosses, but I've just stuck with it. For the next ones, I have the next couple, I'll put it in a Q snap or a hoop. Try and keep some order to this. It's took me forever to get ready. It's going to take me forever to clean up too. Next one is my B, my Gecko Rouge kit, the artwork by Lorna Lane. I'm stitching this on 25 count Lugana, the pre-gridded stuff. Again, I can never remember the name. One strand of floss. My needle minders are stuck together. I've taken this off the Q snap, so I'll show it to you whole. There we go. Oops. I've put quite a lot of work in this week, but you can't tell very well, unfortunately. But I've been working down here and a little bit across as well because I've been using Pattern Keeper. I think I've done about 1,000 stitches. I've still got something like 20,000 to go. So there is my bee. Now, kind of a funny story, well, I thought it was amusing. I had a work trip away, I'll just leave it there, the week before Christmas, and I went to Melbourne with my immediate boss and then her immediate boss, who's also my boss. I work in government, it's like the various levels. Anyway, we had a day together in Melbourne, the three of us, and on our lunch break, my immediate boss, no, the big boss, he said, "So Kelly, I hear you are a crochet guru." And I kind of looked at him a little bit puzzled. And my boss said, no, not crochet, cross stitch. Kelly is a really talented cross stitcher. And I said, well, it's my hobby. I wouldn't call myself talented. Anyway, I had actually shown her, she's into crochet. I said, well, I used to crochet, now I cross stitch. And earlier I had shown her my bee. And she must have been quite taken by it, I didn't realise. And she'd told him about it. I don't mention stitching at work really because people don't really get it. Anyway, he wanted to know all about it. So I pulled up a picture on my phone. I said, well, actually, like, the reason we were in Melbourne together was to talk about bee quarantine. And I said, I'm actually stitching a bee at the moment. So I showed him a picture of this. And he just couldn't believe it. He kept zooming in. He was absolutely amazed, especially when I said, you know, in each of the red squares, there's 400 stitches. And he had no idea, but was really interested. And he said, so how do you get the pattern onto that? Do you paint it on? And so I was explaining how, you know, every color has a symbol and there's a pattern you work from, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to repeat that. And then I showed him the PDF of the pattern and he was just gobsmacked. And my immediate boss was talking me up, going, yeah, she's really gifted. Her back is like the same, it looks the same as the front. And I'm not precious about my backs. I try not to waste too much thread, but it's not something I focus on. There's my back, it's nothing special. Anyway. And then she said, and you know what? You know she's a really gifted stitcher because she told me there's not a single knot in her whole piece. It's like magic. Anyway, it was a really funny conversation. Something I did not expect to be having with my boss who is, you know, he'd be in his 50s, white, male, typical Aussie bloke. I explained how I find it relaxing and sort of de-stresses me. And we finished the conversation with him saying, I can totally see why you're attracted to that. And he said, I think I'd like to do something like that. So I don't expect him to, but that was quite funny. So anyway, I definitely need to put lots of stitches into that next year. I would love to finish it, but I'm not sure. Okay, next. So again, still in the things that I've worked on in the last fortnight. I just seem to be jumping all over the place. I don't know why. It's like my mind's a bit crazy and it's coming out in my cross stitch. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Next one is Teresa Wentzler's Trade Winds, my first Teresa Wentzler piece. And I'm stitching it on 32 count antique white linen, 2/2. I've chosen to do the skin. There's a couple of mermaids doing the skin 1/1. And there's a lot of blends. That's what my notes say. So that's what I've done so far, but in the last couple of days I focused on the mermaid. Everything's wrinkled because it's all been on Q-snaps, so there's no way I was going to iron everything just to make it look pretty, so sorry, it's a bit crumpled. So yeah, her face and her arm and her torso there are all going to be 1/1. I think it'll look really good when it's backstitched, but you can just see the slight colour changes, the features of the face there. I don't know how well that's showing up, but I think it's going to look really, really nice. I noticed that all the skin was single colour of DMC, not blends. If it was blends, I wouldn't have bothered. I really enjoy working on that, but it is an exercise in patience. So these are the DMC colours that I've already used. These are just the plain old colours. Some of them were on bobbins, some are just skeins. If they were already on a bobbin, great. If not, I didn't bother putting them on. So that's the colours I've already used. These are the colours I am yet to use. And then these are the blend, oh, firstly, no, sorry. There's one lot of beads. I'll do them at the end. And then these are the beads. Sorry. These are the blends that I've already used. So what I'm doing with them, I wasn't really sure how to manage them, but I think I'm happy with this system. So that's just an example. This blend is like a 6 with the loopy bit coloured in. It's 433 and 3787. I have cut off a full piece off of the skein or the bobbin of a uniform length. I don't know what that length is. I just compare it to another one in one of these bags. Say it's 18 inches, I don't know. 6 strands of straight off the skein without separating anything. So they're already in there, one of each. And then I'll pull off 1 strand from each of them. And then I know that I've got 6 full lengths to work with as I need. So, and then I've ordered them on the little loopy thing. I can't think of my words. In numerical order based on the first number in, or the lower number in the blend. So 434 and 640, 435 and 436, 435 and 3032, etc. Just need to be really patient. It's also got a heap of specialty stitches in there too. I've only done a few so far, but enjoy that every time I pull it out. Okay, still in the last fortnight. Oops. I have a new start. Yesterday I started Joan Elliott's The Time Traveller. I'm stitching it on 32 count Belfast linen in Gothic by Picture This Plus. So very different to the recommended. With the called for DMC, Chronic and beads, and with the DMC I'm doing 2/2. I wrote these notes earlier and there's a lot of mistakes in them. Anyway, this is the, let's get it around the right way. This is the fabric. I don't think it's going to show. I tried to photograph it earlier. It's actually darker than that. Well, that's better than the photo I got, but it's navy blues and purples. And I've made a start on her dress, which is so bright red. Loving it. So that's my start on The Time Traveller. And then finally this last 2 weeks, I put a few more stitches into Autumn Kitty, which was kindly gifted to me, the pattern by Amanda, Pennington Designs. Thank you, Amanda. And if I could put the photo in, I'll put it in now. I'm doing it on 18 count Aida. It's a fabric flare from an abandoned sow. Using 2 strands of thread in DMC, and this is where I'm at. So you can see with my gridding, you can see the size of it. I'm starting with black because there were most stitches in black. I'm doing this one on Pattern Keeper. And once I've done all the black, I'm going to start colour completing it from least amount of stitches through to most. That's that one. And that's the end of all the stitching I've done in the last fortnight. So, sorry, drink break. Next, some more whips that are somewhat active, I guess. First up, we have my Taj Mahal Mandala chatelaine. Again, I'll try and put a photo up. I haven't seen any photos of this done in black. But mine is being done on 32 count Belfast linen in black using, I've got all the whole kit and caboodle. To make it less see-through. Whoa, I'm about to lose stuff. That's where I'm up to. Haven't done heaps on it since I last showed it, but it's beautiful, it's fun to work on. I definitely need to put some more stitches into that. Now, this is where it gets tricky with putting stuff. Stay. Okay, next up is my first Hands Across the Sea sampler. I am doing the Old Scott. So just to remind you, I went to a Scottish school, high school here in Adelaide. We learnt all about Scottish culture and history, and I used to play the bagpipes. So I have a bit of an affinity to Scotland. And I just like this because it's a bit different to the average sampler. I'm doing it on 40 count ivory linen, and I did splash out, and I'm stitching on the called for Soidage silks. Very pretty. I haven't done much on this, but this is my start. It's totally see-through. Can you see? Yeah, there's not a whole lot to show. Okay, next. This one I show every time. I don't have a photo, but it's my Lakeside Needlecraft Woodland Sal, designed by Doreen Jones on the 3rd of every month. Sorry, 2nd of every month. So the day before the Biscornu will drop, we get the next creature. I'm stitching it on a 32 count even weave in the Woodland colorway, 32 count. It's a fabric flare and it's exclusive for this stitch along, I believe. I'm using DMC and stitching 2/2, and we have the first 6, as you've seen. If you've watched me before, you've seen. I really enjoy stitching them. They take me about 3 or 4 evenings, and I'm completely up to date. Again, everything's creased because it's been in Q-snaps, but oh well. In my sort of woodland, maybe, project bag. Okay, some more that I haven't worked on in a little while. We have Plum Street Samplers animal stacks. So I had completed the, which one had I done? The cow pile? Yeah. And I'm now onto the snort stack. So I'm doing this one. I think this will probably be a good travel piece. I don't travel that much for work, but when I do, it's nice to have a small something to take with me. I'm doing them on 36 count natural linen using the Call for flosses. So you can see cow pile done, a tiny start on snort stack. And then I've also got goat load and sheep heap. Probably doing that a bit slower than I expected. It's small, but there's a lot of stitching. I don't know. I thought I'd sort of be able to crank those out. Anyway, that's fine. Okay. My first Mirabilia. I'm doing the Queen Mermaid. Not really into angels or fairies, but for some reason mermaids are okay. I think because I am a former swimmer and I just love being in the water. Yeah, mermaids are a-okay by me. I'm stitching it on 32 count Lugana When Mermaids Cry by Colour Cascade Fabrics, and I've made a really pitiful start. I was going to say I don't even know which way is up, but I've stitched a little arrow to remind me. Yep, hardly anything. Using everything called for. DMC, Chronic, beads and treasures. All the rattles. Okay, next. Here's a Gecko Rouge kit. I stitched on this last, I think, at the Mirabilia retreat. It is, it's the best name, I think. Mugshot of a cat felon arrested while attempting a New York bank heist. Artwork by Tanya Bond of Tanya's Charming Creatures. And I'm doing it on 25 count. Lugana 1/1. There is 60 colours. I haven't done a whole lot, but just to remind you, oops. There is his eye. She was determined to finish at the retreat. It's going to be 5.4 by 7.8 inches when it's done, so for a full coverage it's fairly small. Okay, and the last one on this page, this page of notes and this box, is another Gecko Rouge. Haven't touched it in a while, have hardly made a start on it, but it's a WIP, so it counts. It is Medusa Dollmaker's Labyrinth pattern, It's Only Forever, charted by Gecko Rouge. I'm doing it on 18 count Aida using 2 strands of DMC. And I swapped out the kit Aida for some very much out of my comfort zone, but I think it's going to look really amazing. 18 count hand dyed Aida by Jodie Redesigns in her Galaxy colorway. Oops. So the background isn't stitched on that one. So you'll see the fabric coming through nicely. And I'll do this one on Pattern Keeper. Makes it easier on these big full coverage pieces. I was a little bit unsure about using 2 strands of floss on 18 count Aida, but it's fine. It's not too squished. The stitches look good, even the white ones, which I know can be problematic. I'm really happy with the coverage, so I'll keep going on that with 2 strands. I don't know how well you can see my TV, but I've actually been listening to David Bowie earlier today. Hunky dory. I saw him in concert, gosh, many years ago now, and he was absolutely fabulous. I'm back. I decided just to cut out that chunk because it was just a mess. So starting fresh, I've put that stuff away somewhat, and I have the last box of stuff to go through. Definitely over halfway, so thank you for hanging in there. I did get myself another drink. I just went cider this time in my Iditarod glass from 2018. Some of the stickers are coming off, but anyway. Right, straight back into it. This was one of the first project bags I made. I don't think I've shown it. It's huge. I blindly followed the tutorial, which was great, without thinking about the dimensions because it was all in inches, I think in metric, but it's fine. It actually holds an 11 by 11 perfectly. So you've got the buttons, and then I kind of picked a coordinating fabric in that color for the middle. It's like a batik. I even quilted it. Can't really see. Anyway, I have not shown this before. I bought this when I was in Texas last year. Carriage House samplings, Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. Not hugely into Halloween, but totally fell in love with this pattern. And then when I got home, saw that everyone is stitching it, which is fantastic. Love seeing people's progress. I've hardly done any. I'm stitching it on 32 count Joberlin, on Angel of the Morning colorway by Color Cascade Fabrics. It's really, really pretty fabric. It's all creased again because it's been in the Q-snap and then rolled up and everything. Oh, that looks terrible. Anyway, but it's kind of, I guess bluey greys and like apricot-y pinky. It looks great. I'm using DMC 2/2. It's huge. I don't know, might have gone a smaller count, more a higher count, smaller stitches. But that's okay, I'll stick with it. I've done most of the first block and it's stitching up beautifully. I really like working on the Joberlin. My stitches look really neat. Anyway, Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, which I don't think I actually stitched on in October. Need to rectify that. Okay. Almost to the end of the ones that I've shown you before, even though that hadn't been shown before. This one is my long dog sampler, the Pilgrim. If you recall, I wanted to stitch something pretty special in August last year. I had chosen Death by Cross Stitch, but the reason for stitching something special was to celebrate my survival from cancer. So I decided I didn't really want death in the name, and then Jules came out with a pilgrim just before, must have been in maybe July, say, and I just thought, yes, it's got animals. I really like the words, dare to dream, the completion of my labours leaves me with a joyful heart. So much happier stitch than death by cross stitch. I am doing this on, I think it's 36 count platinum linen, and I've done over a page. That is my start. I'm using a hank of Silks For You PR011. So this is considered a dark teal, and teal is the like awareness color for ovarian cancer. So I definitely, no matter what I stitched, I wanted to do it in a teal. February is like ovarian cancer awareness month, so I will definitely be pulling this out in February to work on. It's quite poorly understood. I won't go into details today, but I might talk about it again in February when I bring this out to stitch on. But this is the one where I bought the hank of silk, and then I was a little bit intimidated on what to do, how to start it off, how to deal with it. And my lovely friend Liz, who I used to stitch with in Canberra, I took my hank into our stitchy catch up, and she helped me. So we found the ends, which are down here, and she helped me be brave enough to snip it so that it's just one long length. I don't really know where I wrote this down, but apparently it's 115 centimeters each strand, and there's 91 strands apparently. So I put that away. Sorry, I remove 10 strands and I put that away until I need it again. She's given me this really cute rabbit thread droppy thing. We looped the 10 strands on here, and then the actual strand of 6 that I'm using I just put up here. And then you can actually keep track. I've got a note that I did pull 10 from the big hank on June the 9th, 2018 apparently, but you can keep track of how much you've used in a project. So for a single color monochromatic project, I think it'll be interesting to see how much is needed. That's my pilgrim. This is another one that was really popular. I haven't shown it before. I don't have a photo, I don't think. If I do, I'll put one up. But it's a sal, and it was my travel sal for a while. And it is Into the Jungle by the Frosted Pumpkin. I use this, did I just say? I use this as my travel piece, yes. And I got lots done, and then for some reason it got put away. So I really should try and finish it this year. I only have a leopard and the tapirs to go, and then that sort of planty border needs to be finished. It's about halfway there, and at the top there's a bit more of that border with the text Into the Jungle. I would really like to finish that. It's pretty close. I'm stitching it on 28 count Lugana in the colorway Fall to Pieces from Color Cascade Fabrics, and yeah, I do like that color. I'm not hugely into pink, but I don't know, just it works. So definitely would like to finish that in the new year. I might have that as my travel piece. I'm not sure how much traveling I'll be doing, but yeah, because I'd really like to finish that one off. Okay. Oh, this was the first project bag I ever made. It's Alice in Wonderland with red, and I attempted to quilt the lining pretty poorly. This is another travel piece. I probably should just finish the ones rather than starting new travel pieces, but oh well. This is Gabrielle, a seal. It's a swirlies design by Gecko Rouge. It was actually a freebie with a Christmas surprise kit that I got last Christmas. I don't have that out today. I'll show you that another time. But it's just a cute little quick piece. It came with, I'm pretty sure it's 14 count Aida. They hand dyed it themselves, I believe. It's only got 13 colours, so very travel friendly. And that's my start. Another one that probably won't take me really too long if I just put some time in, like all the other ones. Okay, next up is my big, massive cat piece, Firefly Cats. Artwork by Jenny Parks. She converts popular pop culture figures, characters, converts them into cats. I don't know how she thought of it, but it works. So this is based on the fantastic series called Firefly. Highly recommend it if you can find it. There was tragically only one season filmed. It's enormous. This is my epic piece that I'll never finish. I would like to finish the cats' faces and some of their clothes. I mean, I'd love to finish the whole thing, but it's enormous, so yeah, I definitely need to do some more work on that. It got put away when I moved house and hasn't come out, but I have it out now, and I'm going to work on it on the 1st of January. So I've started, just as a reminder, I've started with Captain here, his face, and also included some of Simon's, this one's sleeve. So I've kind of done that. It's really big and unwieldy because there's so much fabric. I'm doing it 25 count Lugana, but I've unwrapped it to show you. It's incredible detail. So look at his sleeve, I mean, and his face. It's even better than that mugshot, the cat mugshot one I've got. I hope that YouTube picks this one for the front photo thingamajig. I'm just gonna leave it here a little bit longer so you can admire it. But that is staying out. Yes, you can see how ridiculously big it is. I find it really hard to keep the Q-snap taut and this out of the way. I have an 11 by 17 Q-snap on it. Any suggestions of how to manage such a huge amount of fabric would be welcomed. I stitched some calico onto the end so it wouldn't fray. The grime guard that I have is not right here, but it's not big enough to hold it all. It's just unwieldy. So yeah, any suggestions, let me know. Okay, we're almost there, I promise. Sorry, slurp. Okay, this is my oldest WIP. I can't remember if I showed it last time. this is what helped me fall back in love with cross stitch. So I mentioned in my first video, I'd had a really big break and then for some reason thought to look it up online. And I don't know how, but I ended up choosing this. This is also how I found Gecko Rouge, randomly Googling cross stitch. This is Coastal by Roseanne Bell, charted by Gecko Rouge. I got this, I'm not entirely sure, but I would say towards the end of 2017. And when I got it, I assumed that I would just be working on this until I finished it. And then, as you all know, you find all this other amazing stuff. I found Facebook groups and everything. I think I might have done almost a quarter of it. It's not small. 25 count 1/1. So years of no cross stitch, jumped in with a full coverage piece. It's going to be like 15.5 inches by 15.5 inches on 25 count. Why not? I don't do things by halves. And I think I've done 6 full pages and 3 or 4 partial pages. It's very pretty. It's been sadly neglected, but it's a very pretty piece. So I definitely have not given up on that one. Oh, when I got this, I had never used this fabric before. The red lines cover 2 strands of fabric, and I messed up with my counting, so I've got a note on my pattern to remind me that the way I've stitched it doesn't entirely line up with the way it's charted, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, I've got that written at the top of every page of the pattern so that I never forget and make a mistake. I also, well, I've got it out. I started where I'd always started every other cross stitch I'd ever done, in the middle, so in there. I started in hand. I didn't have a hoop or a Q-snap or anything. That all came later. But then I realized it was actually quite hard starting in the middle in a full coverage piece, like just starting, yeah, amongst all the symbols. I'd never seen anything like it before. So I sort of abandoned that start and I counted up to here to start in the corner. So I'm hoping this will line up, but if it's not attached to any of the other stitching, so I can just frog it if I need to. So lots of learning on this one, that's for sure. I remember getting the fabric and thinking, oh my gosh, those holes are tiny. Okay. There's 3 left. My last Gecko Rouge WIP. You can barely call it a WIP, but anyway. This is a beautiful piece of art. By Zazak Namu. I think the name has changed to Aruda or something like that, but it's Story Time. I love that painting. That used to be me. I used to love reading, and the last few years I've really struggled to read, which is very sad. I actually have a book next to my bed at the moment, so I'm hoping to read, and I listen to audiobooks. I try anyway, but I'd love that to be me again. I love the colours, her silhouette and those background colours. They're just really pretty. I'm doing this on 18 count Aida. Here are the colours. Beautiful colours. I have gridded it all up and I made a small start. Now I pulled it out earlier and was horrified at how creased it is. So what happened is, this time a year ago, 12 months ago, I had to go away for work. So I missed Christmas and New Year's Eve working. I was somewhere very remote, no internet. There were a lot of animals. Sorry, I just thought I saw a mark on the fabric, but it's okay. There were a lot of animals, and it kind of like was stinky animals. So I started this. I thought I'd have time in the evenings to stitch. As it turned out, I was busy all the time, and in my downtime I either slept, so I'd have an afternoon nap, or I just watched something on my laptop. I could not concentrate on cross stitch, but I was a bit worried I'd ruined it, because I realized when I was sort of released from my duties that everything I owned, everything that I'd taken with me, stank of animals. Anyway, it's fine. I cannot smell it anymore, thankfully. This is my start. These beautiful colors, but look how creased it is. I need to show this poor thing a bit more love, so I'm going to leave that out and try and hopefully I can get the creases to drop out. I can't really iron it because I gridded it in sulky sliver. I don't think that would go well with ironing. But anyway, that's my start. I'd love to do more on that. It's not a huge one in terms of, you know, some of my other ones. 5.6, no, sorry. It's the stitch count is 140 by 179. So my poor neglected story time. Okay. Right, almost there. This one was started quite a while ago. Of all the Disney sort of, I think they're considered Disney. Anyway, story, character thingies, cartoons. Alice in Wonderland's always been my favourite. In fact, I just watched the original the other day, 1951 it was filmed. Amazing. Quite a while ago, I purchased the 12 Brooks Books Alice in Wonderland characters. So that's just Alice there. I have all the rest. I'm going to stitch them all in one piece. I am stitching them on 28 count Lugana in an opal. So I don't use opalescent that much, but it's Silver Springs by Colour Cascade Fabrics. I've made a tiny start, but it's a really pretty mottled silver that's opalescent. And just a bit of a close-up on what I've actually done, which is hardly anything. That looks like her shoe and part of the border. You can see the opal. It's really cool. And I have a Cheshire cat needlewinder. So that's another one that I should potentially pull out and do in blocks. Maybe when the Woodland sale has finished, I'll pull this out. I mean, they're a bit bigger than those ones. Oh, not really. We'll see. Okay, organisation going out the window. My last WIP. I do have a couple of other little things I wanted to quickly show you after this, but this is my last WIP. It is, I've seen plenty of people stitching this one. I started it ages ago and just rediscovered it today, going through everything. Plague Doctor by Busby Designs. So I work in quarantine. I'm interested in diseases and transmission of diseases and managing outbreaks of diseases. I would love to stitch this and have it at work. I think it's fantastic. The plague doctor going about trying to look after people, but possibly spreading plague at the same time. I don't think their understanding of transmission of disease was so crash hot back then. But it's just a really cool image. So I'm stitching it on 28 count opal, another opal. How about that? 2 in total. Casual linen. It's by Chromatic Alchemy in the colorway Rhubarb and Custard, and I'm using DMC 1/1. It's sort of gridded, and I spotted a mistake in my gridding too. But yeah. So I haven't done much on it really. They're tiny little crosses. I think the fabric probably shrank when in the dyeing process because they are tiny. Maybe I haven't counted it, but it might be more like a 32 count. But I like how it kind of looks like chaos behind him. Almost like apocalyptic. I think it'll look amazing when it's all done. I have parked some threads for some reason. I would love to work on that next year. That's the problem with these WIP Parades. You pull out all your old stuff and you think, oh, I want to work on that. I want to work on that. Anyway, that is Plague Doctor. All right, that's all my WIPs. Now I've just got a little pile of things that I probably would like to start in the new year, because why not? I'm not buying more patterns for now, but I do have things I'd like to start that I have fabric and floss to start with. So as I've shown before, I have the Cottage House, I always get that wrong, Cottage Garden Samplings Songbird series. I would like to start with Courage. Okay, then this one that everyone loves, the Blue Flower Night Walked Down. When I ordered that, I saw this fun one, also by the Blue Flower, Life with Cats, Royal Audience. It says, you may approach, which is very much what she's like. My other cat, Leo, was very affectionate and always wanted to be with you. Things are very much on her terms. I would like to stitch Bendy Stitchies Kerglaff that we got at the Mittagong retreat. So Kerglaff, it's a noun, the shock felt in bathing when one first plunges into cold water. As an ex-swimmer, I am very familiar with Kerglaff. I used to do some open water swimming, and there was one in particular I did in an extinct volcanic crater. It's a lake in the southeast of South Australia in Mount Gambier. It's called the Valley Lake. It was icy cold. We would have to cover ourselves in Vaseline head to toe. Then it was a handicap race, so the slower swimmers set off first. I was quite young when I was doing it, so I probably did my last one when I was 13. So I was towards the start. Maybe there would have been, I don't know, 150, 200 people in this race. And basically once you're in the water, you jump in and you experience Kerglaff. Then you're committed. There's nowhere to get out of the lake because there's a small area where you can actually get in and out, and the rest all the way around is steep, like it's the inside of the volcano. There's no way out. I think it was about 2 kilometers around, and it was known to have snakes in the lake. In Australia, of course, it's venomous snakes. I was petrified, and I know on the last one I swam so fast I remember screaming into the water because things were brushing against my legs. Anyway, I swam so fast I came in 5th, and the top 5 finishers won a trophy. So thanks to Kerglaff and the threat of snakes, I won myself a really great trophy. So have to do that one. I would really like to do Nora Corbett's Miss Honeybee. I have everything ready to go for it, except what's missing, fabric. I ordered some fabric from Colour Cascade Fabrics. I checked actually the end of July and I haven't received it yet. So I need to follow that up, but it's kind of disappointing because I know that it's all hand dyed and dyed to order, but you get all excited. I saw this was released, I ordered the pack, ordered some fabric, and 5 months later I don't have the fabric yet. So anyway, I know that when it comes it will be beautiful. I have Anne Thomas. I mean, how can you not go past that pigeon? No fabric yet. I have something on its way that might work. No real plans to start, but you know, I have it there, so you never know. This will be a definite start. This is my very last one. Indie Stitches, there's no place like home except Grandma's. So printed off the PDF. Ooh. I'm going to stitch it on the called for 32 count cream Lugana. I am going to change the colours though to make it more like my parents' house. They've got like a Federation style, modern styled home with sandstone bricks, like blocks and red bricks and a red roof. So I'm going to change that, which will probably mean I end up changing this colour as well. I would have loved to have got this done by my mum's birthday, but that's at the end of February, so I'm not sure. But that's it. Thank you if you've made it this far. Thanks for hanging around. That was epic. Jemima is still snoozing. It's a very tough life. I hope you all have an enjoyable rest of the year, and I'll be back in 2 weeks, which will mean I think it's be the weekend before I have to go back to work. So we'll see what I can get done in that time. I do have a bit of a beach holiday with my family for a little while in there. I'm not quite sure how long yet, but otherwise I hope to just chill out at home and get plenty of stitching done. So yes, Happy New Year, and we will talk to you soon. See ya!